name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now, new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
All right, my friends, I'm going to do my best to really speak to the state of our country, the Western world, the greater planet, and the peoples that live upon it. I told you in the last hour I saw a video yesterday, one of many I've seen over the years, in the hometown of Gaddafi from the bombardment, one of countless videos out there, with what looks like about a 3-year-old child with the lower mandible or the lower jaw completely blown off, torn down to their neck, with the little tongue hanging out, flopping around. And the horrible, bloody scream coming out of the hole in their throat. And my father worked at MD Anderson Cancer Research Institute in high school and in college some, part of an advanced student training program. And he said the most spooky thing he ever saw was the people who wore drapes over their faces that were there that just had the upper mandible. He said that's the spookiest thing he's ever seen in his life. And I see all these even older women, saw like a 70-year-old lady. She looked like she's about 70 with a handbag the other day with skulls all over it. And a lot of times folks like skulls missing the lower mandible. I mean, you're going to be dead for trillions of years. Why do you, are you so quick to get in the grave? It's because they've been mind-washed in death and violence on television so much people can't differentiate the real thing from fiction. And that's been done scientifically. Edward Bernays, 80-plus years ago, wrote about this process of desensitization. So that when your neighbor's being drug off to a FEMA camp or they shoot some veteran at an Occupy Wall Street and he's in critical condition for no reason in the head with a rubber bullet at close range, knowing full well it would do that, you're like, so what? So that when you're being torn limb from limb, when you're having your pension fund taken, when you're being abused, nobody's going to care about you either. The Romans were masters at that during their decline. They would have the big gladiatorial forum. It started out as secret rituals hundreds of years before. When really powerful Romans died, they would have a few slaves fight to the death at the burial and then bury them with generally a military leader. It was a human sacrifice ritual. And then it turned into more wealthy people putting on private parties of killings. But then the Romans wrote handbooks on the big giant coliseums and taxes that were paid to fund the gladiatorial schools all over that area of the world, the known world at the time, to have daily games. They even extincted a lot of the lions that lived in that area and tigers, and shipping in elephants for these complex games, and flooding the Colosseum for ship battles. Sometimes in a day, hundreds and hundreds would die. Very similar to the Aztecs in their ritual sacrifice, with groups they'd captured and dominated, but sometimes their own people as well. So civilization, those that are civilized recognize that this is bad and that you want to stay away from that because society degenerates. That once you let psychopaths get in control, they then want to train the general public to be psychopaths and to enjoy death. That's why Homeland Security admittedly had grants for Kiefer Sutherland's 24 and gave it awards on C-SPAN. Because by the end of the series, he would torture someone's small child in front of them to get answers, because the end justified the means. So this is how they get weak-minded people who are twisted, but so weak-minded they think they're good, kind of lower-level evil people. That's how the real hardcore psychopaths and the masochistic psychopaths create a different structure of servants under them is that they bathe us in torture is good, secret arrest is good, violence is good, dehumanize your women, dehumanize your boys, put your 7-year-old daughter in a hooker outfit and let her go to school. All of this is scientifically done so that we will be weak and easily controlled. And when you get a sick priest class in charge throughout society, that's what the globalists call it, the ruling manipulative priest class, they always manifest the same thing. Public human sacrifice, war, death, disease, pain, degeneration, and final collapse. But the New World Order has said their party will go on forever because they're going to use technology to prop it up so that improvement in their world will be trampling on people, society running down, always dumber, less language, more brutish, more ugly. And they write love letters in their philosophies that we've quoted here about how wonderful it is. And Stalin wrote about it, Lenin wrote about it. Now they've got top transhumanists now that we've read their quotes about how we're going to go on willing. We may just destroy the earth because it'd be the most powerful thing ever done and kill ourselves. That's like Nero, total demonic spoiled brat, you know, finally committing suicide after he'd burned Rome for fun. I mean, you must know your enemy to understand them. You must know your enemy to be able to confront them. You must know your enemy if you have any hope of ever defeating these people. And what a truly sick joke to have Barack Obama sold as a man of peace, and they're launching total war all over the world. The UN went into Ivory Coast, killed tens of thousands with the rebels, admittedly hacking up men, women, and children to take over the government. Didn't even call him a tyrant, just did it a few months ago. Gaddafi, not perfect, but building up Libya, building up the rest of Africa. There's no humanitarian thing going on. There's Western-backed al-Qaeda rebels attacking. They call them peace activists. There's a 6-month bombardment that is not a war, that would last days, not weeks. And then you've learned there's 40 to 50,000 innocents killed, and even mainstream media admits as a footnote, oh, yeah, the al-Qaeda rebels out of Saudi Arabia and other places, they don't like black folks. There's been a big history of racism out of some of those countries on record. You know, they ran the slave trade even before folks in Europe picked it up. And they are going around hacking up blacks, including men, women, and children systematically, because in the southern area, blacks are the majority and seen as pro-Gaddafi. And there's mass graves everywhere of hacked up kids. But see, none of that matters, because we're the good guys. And so if al-Qaeda works for us, that is the people that run our country, but we see it as us. Notice we say, well, America's not, perfect, but, we're the best there is. But is this America that's taken over our system? No, it's not. And so now al-Qaeda is good, but you get the internal police documents. They're being trained, returning veterans are enemies, gun owners, conservatives, libertarians. They're training to take on people that don't like the Federal Reserve, while the government works with al-Qaeda. Now, I'm going to play this clip, and it's introduced with Obama on Jay Leno saying that Libya is a recipe for success. And this is the globalist recipe. They go have a rebel group start attacking, then the media demonizes the country that's being attacked by the Ponzi secret army rebel force. And then when that collapses, there's a humanitarian disaster, Syria, wherever, we've got to go in. And then they just level the whole place and then call it a great success with smart bombs, and the entire Air Force is moving towards a conversion where they're even got the regular technicians now training to drive drones, and they're saying they're going to use them against Americans here. And they say, we'll kill 200 people to kill one bad guy, because they say it's a bad guy. But if a suicide bomber blew up something to kill, quote, one bad guy in their perspective and killed 200 people, it'd be called the ultimate crime ever. See, this is the mind control that's going on. So here is the clip, and then it segues into a child with their lower mandible and throat blown out, screaming in pain, with their little hands up saying, why, why, why? You can see it in their eyes, and then collapsing back. Just in total panic, with their little sister laying next to them with part of their leg blown off. This is what America does. This is what we've become. We just write off 1 million plus dead Iraqis. Here's that clip.
I think it's obviously sends a strong message around the world to dictators that people long to be free, and they need to respect the human rights and the universal aspirations of people. We introduced the resolution in the United Nations that allowed us to protect civilians in Libya when Gaddafi was threatening to slaughter them. It was our folks in NATO who were helping to coordinate the NATO operation there. And the difference here is we were able to organize the international community. We were able to get the UN mandate for the operation. We were able to get Arab countries involved. And so there was never this sense that somehow we were unilaterally making a decision to take out somebody. Rather, it was the world community, and that's part of the reason why this whole thing only cost us $1 billion, as opposed to $1 trillion. Not a single U.S. troop was on the ground. Not a single U.S. Troop was killed or injured. And that, I think, is a recipe for success in the future. I am both surprised and deeply humbled by the decision of the Nobel Committee. The Nobel Peace Prize has not just been used to honor specific achievement, it's also been used as a means to give momentum to a set of causes. And that is why I will accept this award as a call to action, a call for all nations to confront the common challenges of the 21st century.
Now, I want you to look at that, and I want that to burn in real good. And I want you to make a spiritual decision. Just go, your gut, your instincts, of all the knowledge you know, added to your gut. Is that what you want to sign on to? Because when you are pro-war, that's what you're signing on to. Pro-offensive war. That's what offensive war is. They say that's a no-fly zone. That's not war. And Obama said, hey, I don't care what Congress says. I have the UN saying I can do this. I'm the Peace Prize winner. And remember, and I'm going to do a report on this tonight, I'm going to show you CBS, NBC newscasts from the late 60s in Vietnam with stuff just like that, little girls hit by napalm and stuff, that they put on the 6 o'clock news. But today they won't show you that. Remember when Bush, quote, banned people seeing flag draped coffins? You're not supposed to see the byproduct of it. They're supposed to just, you know, go die, go be put in a hole, or go be legless for the rest of their life, and you're not supposed to see the dead troops. Think of the level of censorship and mind control that is. And no matter how many times they upload these videos at YouTube, they're taken down and the channels are suspended. So I've made the decision that I'm going to put a compilation together of mainstream broadcast TV from the 60s and 70s showing stuff just as violent as that was put on during the family hour, and then put that behind it and ask what's changed. You can see any kind of violence, sex, 100 times what they allowed in the 60s, but you can't show something real. See, in the 60s, you couldn't show blood drip out of the mouth on Gunsmoke. But you could show a child hit by napalm with their skin burned off, because that was news and reality, and you had a right to know to make decisions. And even though our press was controlled to some extent, they were so freaked out by what they were seeing, the decision was made to put it on air, and it ended that war. But now in America,